everybody. Welcome to episode 12 of All About African Violets. I'm Annie, your host, and I'm so happy that you're here today. I hope you'll forgive me. I have my workout clothes on. I'm gonna do my workout after I film today. So I thought I would just do that. So I look a little more casual, I think, than I usually do. All About African Violets is musically sponsored by Ted Yoder, and you can hear and purchase his wonderful music on his website, www.tedyoder.com. And I am excited to tell you that Ted's new CD, Chocolate Skies, is now available. So if you've been really enjoying his music, which I hope that you are able to pick that up now or download it from iTunes. So welcome to my sunroom. It's been a great week this week. It finally cooled off here and it's been beautiful, and I've been looking forward to the show that I'm going to be at in Tulsa in a few more weeks. And there's lots going on the stands. So I know that I said I would talk a little bit about First Class 2 this week, but I'm going to put that off for another week or so. I wanted to get permission from Joe Bruns, who is the creator and author of the program. I wanted to get permission from him to be able to use some screen captures to share with you, and I just got that from him today, and because he's great that way. And so I'm putting together a kind of a presentation for you so that you'll be able to get just kind of an overview of that program. It's wonderful. I think you'll like it a lot. But I have a longer section today for tips and treasures, and a longer section for a look at what's on the stands. So hopefully that will be great. But we have a few questions to start off with. So let me get my glasses. Sapphire Yin left a couple of questions on the website, and she asked specifically about shipping plants and leaves. And Sapphire Yin, I did talk about that in episode 9. So if you haven't had a chance to watch that episode yet, give that one a look, and there's info there on that. And I mostly talk about plants during that one, but same thing for leaves. So easy, it's very easy to do. And then Sapphire Yin asked, how long will a leaf last once it is separated from the plant? Well, longer than you might think. I've had leaves come to me from various places and be a long time in the mail, meaning more than a week. So they'll do pretty well. And I'm assuming you're talking about shipping within the United States. To ship outside of the country, you need to have a certificate, and a general person just doesn't normally have that. So, but there is a way. I have a leaf right here. There is a way to do this. This is like a cotton ball or a face pad, and I got it wet, and I'm just going to take a little piece of it, and the leaf is pretty fresh because I did some grooming earlier today, and so I did not cut the stem again. This is just how it came off the plant. So I'm just going to take a little piece of this cotton and wrap it around the bottom of the stem like this. So now it's got a little, it's just a little wet there. See it? And then tinfoil, our friend tinfoil, and this is a kind of a big piece, so I'm just going to, I thought I got these the right size before I sat down. Just take the tinfoil, wrap it around the leaf, stick it in a Ziploc bag, blow in the Ziploc bag, Ziploc it, and send it on its merry way. Obviously it doesn't take long to do, and this now will last for a while before it has to be put down. So I hope that's helpful. And then Kitty Bow asked she asked if I would mention the online groups. And hi, all you guys online. I'm so glad you're watching Garden Webs and the AV Brat Pack. And there are a number of groups on Facebook as well. So thank you guys for watching. And for those of you who are not familiar with the online groups, they are online. They're like the old bulletin board style of groups where people send emails and you get a digest or daily emails, however it works best for you. And I will link to those in the show notes, and I will also try to set those up as a link on the website so that they'll always be there. And hopefully any of you who are interested maybe in joining those groups and talking with other growers all over the world, that would be a great place to do that. So let's move. Oh, no, wait. I have one more question here. I wrote it in my notes. Rosie asked about, Rosie's new. Hi, Rosie. Rosie asked about lights and her plants, saying that some of her newer plants seem to be reaching up toward the light, whereas her older plants were, kind of laying nice and flat. And she wondered about that. So my first thought on that is, how old are the tubes on your shop lights? I know you said you were using shop lights. I confess that I often don't change the tubes in my light fixtures until they burn out. And fluorescent lights will last a very long time, but they do lose strength over time. So that's something to consider. And also, how close are your plants? What size are your plants, and how close are they to the lights? So for minis and semis, I know we've talked about this before, but I can't remember what episode it was in. But 6 to 8 inches about from the lights for the minis and semis. And I think you'll notice when we go to a look on the stands, you'll see how close those lights are to those plants that are growing. And for a full-grown standard, generally about 10 to 12 inches from the lights. It just depends on the plant. And the light source of the tube, the light is stronger in the center and less so on the ends. So maybe move some things around and see if that helps at all. And let me know, hopefully that helps. If it doesn't, it could be something else. You never know. But generally speaking, maybe you just need a new tube. And I would not replace them both if it's like a dual, like 2-tube fixture. I would only replace one and then wait a while, another month or so, and then replace the other. So I hope that helps. Well, because, as I mentioned, both the tips and treasures section and the look at the stands are longer this week because there's a lot to look at. I think I'm talking faster than usual. I don't want to have the episode be too long for you. But let's go ahead and move on to tips and treasures. And what I'm going to show you today is I needed to do a little more grooming for show. I'm about 3 weeks out now, I think, from the Missouri Valley African Violet Council show and convention in Tulsa. I'm so excited to be going there, and I'm hoping to have some plants to take with me. And I did a little more grooming, and I wanted to share that with you. So have a look, and we'll be right back. Hi, you guys. We're in the kitchen, and we're going to do a little more show grooming today. I want to show you a few things. This is Winter Moon. Still looking pretty good. I tried to get a kind of a closer view of it for you today. And you can see, that it is blooming. And I want to show you kind of a trick that was taught to me. Actually, it was taught to me by Jean Shipley in Ventura, California. And if you read the magazine and if you read Joyce Stork's article that was in remembrance of Pauline Bartholomew, you'll see that, or you'll recall that Jean was quoted in the article because she knew Pauline. And Jean was she is a wonderful teacher, and I I learned so much from her when I was living in Southern California, and I try to share a lot of the things that she taught me, and so I'm going to share one of them with you now. So we know that our plants grow. Remember, we talked about this. Let me get the pencil. We talked about the crown that's here in the center and how the leaves grow in sets of threes. Well, the blossoms, in my experience, I see that the blossoms also kind of come up, in threes or fours. Here, there's four, but usually I kind of see them coming up in that same configuration is the word I'm trying to say. So these are growing, and I want to show you something here. Sorry, I'm going to just shift that a little bit. Some plants bloom like a snowball, like a snow cone full of blossom. Some plants bloom with a halo of blossom. And if they bloom in a halo, there is a way to make them look even better. And that is by giving the blossom stalks a little help to get up through the leaves so that they are up on top and not blooming out the sides. So I'm going to show you what I do for that, and it's very simple. You just very gently move them up, just like that. We've got another one here and another one here. You can just kind of give it a little hand. This one is fine so far. And this takes a delicate touch, you guys. You do have to be careful, but it will help. It will help the blossom be up where it needs to be. So you see how they're all pointing upwards now. And this actually speaks further to one of the questions that John Reagan asked last week about how I choose the plants that I like to grow. Well, one of the things that I do look for are peduncles that are really strong. That means that they stand up, they grow upright instead of laying down. There's nothing wrong with ones that lay down. I just prefer to have ones that will stand up a little more at attention. So we've looked at that one. Now I want to show you, this is Rob's Antique Rose. And we've got, you see that blossom stalk kind of hanging out there? There's one hanging out here too. And there's another one coming up over here. It's not quite long enough to fool with yet, but these two are. So it is a very simple matter to just gently give that a little hand so that it will come right up and bloom up rather than out. So we've got another one down here, but it's not quite long enough, and we've got another one coming here. So they've got another couple of weeks, but this is helpful for now. And of course, as I look at this, I continue to look at the symmetry. It's still looking pretty good. Definitely, it's clear there was a culture break, and a culture break means that this plant's care changed at some point during the time it was growing. And we know this to be true because this is a plant that I brought home from National in June. And so it went from the culture that it was in, wherever it was, to my growing conditions and the culture that I use, the way I grow. And so you definitely can see the older leaves. Those were the ones that were already in existence. Things are looking, a little darker, a little richer, as we've moved into my conditions. That happens from time to time. You want to try to avoid it, but some things, I had no control over the life that plant had before it came to me. So now this is Pink Pussycat, and we've seen it before. It's still got, there's still some symmetry going on here that I may have to take a few more leaves off, but I don't know if you can see. I tried to show you last week. Do you see underneath the leaves? Blossom here, blossom stalk here. Right, I'm turning it, and there's another one in there. There's another one in here. They're hidden underneath the leaves. And again, not all of these are long enough to play with, but there are a few. This one, so we'll give it a helping hand, just gently moving the two leaves that it is in between and letting it come up. Now, I'm not forcing it up, because if I force it up, it will snap off and then I'll be crabby, and I try to avoid that. So that one, this one should be able to come up. And sometimes it's a process of gently moving a leaf at the same time. Now I want to look at this one. This is almost directly under this leaf, and but I think it needs, we'll just do this like that. There. Now it's going to grow up above that, up above the foliage and look better. Got another one here, but it's not long enough yet. So we've done 3 so far, and here is Blueberry Sprite. This plant just wants to grow. It's kind of funny looking. It's someone asked me to describe a girl leaf, to explain that, and I will, if I haven't already, I will after this, but I may have explained it initially in the podcast. But we're going to do this trick here as well. I mean, these are growing up, so what we're really doing is just doing a little bit of placement to kind of get things where we want them. All right, already, so that's looking better. This has leaves that have to go. Probably this one, probably those 3, and then it will immediately look better. And I used my hands rather than the note cards, so I'll just do that. 1, 2, buckle my shoe. Boy, it's just hard to know sometimes. I mean, even, just because I've done this a lot. All right, now look, I popped those up. Do you see already? We're starting to have a head of blossom that's going to sit up. These peduncles are very strong. I may be able to take a few more. I thought I'd take this one, but I've got that almost triangular shape going on here, so we'll see. I've still got a couple of weeks out of show. But this plant is also, this is my paintbrush, and this is what I use to brush dirt off of plant leaves. It is a synthetic brush. I got it from the Violet Showcase in Englewood, Colorado, which is literally just like the next block south of Denver. And I just use it in this way to brush stuff off. Here's dirt. And this is really important, you guys, particularly if you are growing for show. First of all, even if you're not, who doesn't like a good bath? I mean, really, a good cleanup. So these guys are going to get cleaned up a little bit, and that is going to helps them grow. And we don't want to have any animal hair on them, any blobs of dirt, any pieces of perlite. And this is an area where judges, I know that when I judge, I really look for this. I mean, I don't look to find the dirt, but I look at the plant to make sure that the person has been taking good care of it. And this is something that is absolutely within the exhibitor's purview. You have control over your plants, if they're dirty or if they're clean. So we want them to be clean. If you see a cat hair, I don't have any cats, but I had some years ago. Got your tweezers. These are my favorite ones that have that little bent tip. You can if there was a hair, you could just very carefully grab the hair with the tweezers and get it off of the leaf. This is something you lose points for, and it's completely within your control. So I really encourage you to look at your plants and make sure they are clean. This one's, now that I popped those blossoms up, I'm telling you, I'm liking this one better and better. So that's our beginner tip for today. Actually, it's an anybody tip if you are growing and a growing show or not. Just want your plants to look better, look cleaner, maybe look a little more impressive when they bloom. This is something that you can do. I'll be right back. Hi, we're back in the sunroom. I hope that was helpful. It's been a great thing for me. And I mean, did you see how different the blueberry Sprite looked from when we started to when I finished? I mean, just adjusting the blossom stalks can make a huge difference in how your plant looks and how the head of blossom really looks. So that's one of a great tip that Jean Shipley taught me. So I really wanted to pass that on. And now we're gonna head out to, oh, my neighbor's dog is howling. He has a big hound type of dog. I don't know if you probably can hear it. He's outside and howling, or baying, and there's no moon. I mean, it's the afternoon, but anyway, we're about to take a look at what's on the stands. And as I mentioned, this is a slightly longer segment this week. And I do manage to, and I also managed to call Western Moon Winter Moon. So I apologize for that. I guess I have winter on the brain. But, and I also managed to completely reverse the saying, do as I say, not as I do. So remember that when you hear me say it the wrong way. And here's a look at what's on the stands this week. Here we are, time to take a look at what's on the stands. Here are the plants that we saw earlier, and you can see that they are looking pretty nice. I think it's time though. This was my plan of Witch Doctor, and although I did my best, sometimes even the greenhouse just doesn't work. So guys, this one's going to its great reward. I did take leaves of it, and so hopefully it will be okay. And I mean, okay in that I will, oops, water, let me dump that out. And here's Sultan. It looks like it's gonna grow. I was thinking maybe it should go to its great reward, but I think I'll let it sit for a while longer in this pot and see how it does. Let's take a look over here real quickly. Okay, this one not going to show, growing really well, but no blossoms. And I think I'm 3 weeks out now from show. Here's Pink Pussycat, looking great. Got lots of blossoms going on there, crossing my fingers. This one is Optimara Little Comanche Girl, and although it's looking pretty beautiful, although it needs some grooming, it's not going to show either because it's not blooming. And neither is Optimara Little Creek Girl, not blooming. So actually, I'm going to take these back out. I'm going to take the extraneous leaves off of these because, for example, now you'll notice I have an empty shelf here with the light on, and I've done that for a reason. That leaf is going to go. These older damaged, the leaves, remember I mentioned culture break earlier. These are part of that deal. So there's a whole row of leaves on this plant that are going to go. And since it's not going to go to show now, I'm going to go ahead and really start working on it and get it together. But I just mentioned that, here I'm going to move out. You can kind of see that I have another shelf here with the light on, but nothing on it. I've done this for a reason. I am close to show now, and I want to encourage these plants to get a little more busy with the blossom here. So I have increased their daylight hours a little bit more. I had out-of-town company, the light stands got messed with, so I checked today and I bumped their light up about an hour. They should have been at 16 hours already, and they weren't. So I bumped them up and I turned on the lower light. Now, fluorescent tubes don't get hot like an incandescent bulb does, but they will generate a little bit of heat, and that will come up because heat rises. It will come up from here, up through the bottom, and keep these guys a little bit warmer and give them a little more, a little push to grow. Let's go take a look at what's on the stands in the sunroom. Here we are in the sunroom, And I took the domes off, the humidity domes off the trays today so you guys could really get a look. And I really want to show you this particular leaf. I wonder if I can do it this way and have it stay focused, maybe not. But it's sprouting already, and I just put that leaf down not too long ago. All right, now look, do as I do, not as I say, because look what I did here. I put the leaf down and I did not mark the date or what it is. I know that it's a trailer though, so I have to look it up. And oh, look, there's some fiber. That's, I don't have an animal anymore, but I do have fiber, so that stuff gets all over. But let's take a look. Here's Witch Doctor. These leaves were not looking that great, but we got something coming up over here, so it's gonna be all right. Sometimes I will give things a little hand, like this one. I'm trying to push up there. We lost this leaf, so it, although it seems rooted in there, I'm gonna leave it alone. And this doesn't feel like things are feeling a little dry. So even though things are under the dome, they do need to get watered. So I'm going to water in here, and I just, put a bunch in there. That's enough. And then I just tilt from the bottom, my hand there. I'll just tilt the tray up a little and let that water run all the way down so it gets down to the other end. And then let it sit. Now when I put the dome back on, there should be plenty of water in there. Now something happened over here. Remember I put a few leaves down right after I got back from the Illinois show. And this was one of them, and I left it in here. I noticed it last night, but I left it in because I thought, gee, this looks funny. Well, yeah, it looks funny because it just came apart at the base. Now there's a little root there. I could try to let it grow, but I have a whole lot more of that particular one, so that one's going to go to its great reward. Everybody's looking pretty good here too. Like I said, sometimes I will give that a little hand, move the dirt out of the way. Here's another leaf that kind of gave it up, so I'm going to pinch it off. Looks like their babies sprouted from it anyway, and this really does need to be potted on, but I chose not to do it this week because I want to show it to you when I do. Lots of stuff growing over here. We've got a really good look at the stands today, and I'm happy to show you that, yes, I did work on the plants that have been so woefully neglected. Really, violets are pretty forgiving, I gotta tell you. So these are the leaves that I put down from the plants that were here, and I did keep 4 plants, and they are down on the 3rd shelf. So here we go. And they're mostly trailers that I kept in the plant form, even though I took leaves from them anyway. And what I did, now I'm isolating them, and I'm isolating them a little bit differently than you would normally think. Oh, no, don't do that. I was just gonna turn it to give you the long view. You can see my kitchen and my messy counter there, sorry. I've got 3, this is a 4-shelf stand, there's the bottom shelf, but I've got 3 of them on now. I've got the middle stand I had turned on because it would, again, some heat up against the bottom of those trays for the baby leaves that are sprouting, and now I've got that tray right there, so that's getting light. These plants are isolated on this lower shelf. They're by themselves. Everything else that's here is normally covered. So there's very little risk involved. And this is something I learned from my friend Daryl Hoover, is if you do have space limitations and you do have to isolate a little creatively, he taught me to put things on the bottom, the things that were being isolated on the bottom shelf. The way he explained it to me was that if there was something in there that was going to be crawling out or crawling around, that it would have a harder time crawling up the stand. Whereas if I put the isolated plants up on the top shelf, he said it was much easier for things to make their way down than it is to make their way up. So that's why I do that this way. Now let's go take a look. This is a long segment, sorry, but we'll go take a look now at our big box violet. How beautiful is that? I mean, how happy would you be if that was on your counter, or your windowsill, in your kitchen, and you just had that beautiful pink blossom to look at and it made you smile? It's certainly making me smile. Not all violets have to be grown for show. So I don't know if you can tell. I'm going to try to, maybe I can do it from the outside. It's kind of hard now. Probably out of focus now, but I was trying to show you that it is leaning toward the light, and so what I am going to do is turn it, as we've discussed before, so that it will kind of, I don't want it to be hitting the side. Let's take a look. Okay, that water's getting pretty low, so it's time for me to add some more, and I will do that and not bore you with it. But it is growing. The crown, this is the crown, is also growing. It's got one wonky leaf, but that's okay. I can't help myself. I just pushed that peduncle up. Anyway, that's a look at what's on the stands this week. So, yay me! I finally got my plants work done. So I'm happy because Kitty Bo laughed and Lori and Maine kind of scolded me and said, listen, you've got to get cracking on these plants. So I did. I finally had a little bit of time. And do you see how easy it is when you think, oh, I'm going to remember what that is. I know where I got that leaf. I know who I got it from. I know what plant that is. If you don't write it down, you don't remember. Well, thankfully, after I kind of replayed the whole thing in my mind, I knew I had gotten the two little leaves in the little teeny weeny cup. I'd gotten them at the Illinois State Show, and I got them from Lana Kernedy. Lana, if you're watching, hi and thank you, because I remembered that it's champagne pink. And I put these leaves down the same day that I did the leaves of Kentucky Blood Brother that are in there, and that was August 2nd. So, I don't want to tip it over, but for this to be a sprouting in only 6 weeks, that's pretty exciting. And it's a beautiful trailer. I had it, it was one of the plants I lost earlier this year when I had to start over, and I was thrilled to have it again. Lana won Best Trailer, I believe. Oh no, she won Best Trailer, but not with Champagne Pink. She won it with Linda Darnell. And Champagne Pink, though, she used in a violet in a decorative container, and it was just gorgeous. And she was so gracious and so generous to share a couple of leaves with me. She knew I wanted to grow it again, so I'm hoping that it will do well, and eventually I'll have it back in my collection. Well, that kind of takes us. There's really no bail money to get ready this week. Things are happening this weekend. The shows we talked about in the last few weeks are happening now. And I've already mentioned the Missouri Valley Show. You can always check on the AVSA website at avsa.org for coming events that might be in your area, and also in the magazine. But it's time to keep moving forward. And this week, I know I mentioned it finally cooled off here. For me, this was a great week. This is like, fall is really in the air here in the Midwest, and these beautiful cool days where it's in the 50s in the morning and the high 60s during the day. That's just like the perfect day to me. And I knew it was cool. We're going to be very cool on Friday. And I think I've mentioned early on that I'm a bagpiper. Well, I love to play outside when I get the opportunity. And it's always hard, it's always a challenge to find practice time in my busy day. So once the weather cools off like this, I always try to take my pipes with me downtown on the train in their case and look for a place to practice at lunchtime. And I found a place down at the end of the Riverwalk. So I'm not on a street corner somewhere where people think I'm busking, for money or anything. But I've got a place kind of down the steps, down on the Riverwalk where I can play. And it was just so fun to play on Friday. I love having that in my life, that music in my life, and I love piping. I love that I'm piping again and piping more regularly. So I hope that in the coming week you'll find what you love. I hope your days are filled with all the things you love. And I hope that you will come back next week. I hope you'll tell your friends. Thank you for watching. Thank you for the reviews and the star ratings on iTunes. That is so helpful and so great. Have a wonderful week. Good growing. See you next time.